Hi, everyone. Welcome again, family. It's good to be together. It's raining outside like crazy. It's typical of, but, and so, anyways, and we have had an amazing time. I wanted to just thank every one of you that has been praying for us. I don't know if the lighting's the best, but those of you who know me, maybe there is better. I don't know. Anyways, so it's just been really, really nice to see what God has been doing in the past little while. We had amazing meetings in the last country, and now yesterday we arrived here in Singapore, and today we are leaving to the next country. And so got here, put the things in the hotel. A couple of the brothers came here to spend time with us, and these are brothers that I have known and have walked with the Chinese gathering, I don't know if I like this. So, anyways, the Chinese gathering and everything, and we have had a lot of fun. And we were remembering 2015 when things were really at the peak of everything. Just 20, 30,000 people getting together, and it was just so amazing because I remember how everything started in Vancouver with Papa Gideon and Papa David and everything else, just the whole, that time they called him Pastor David, and how the spirit of fathering just was released, because they've always had this honor for the pastors and leaders and prophets and everything else, and I think there was a shift that took place through this man of God from just being a pastor who knows the word of God and everything else to releasing actually a spirit of fatherhood, and that was such an amazing thing. So, and I think through the journey we kind of were walking into it. I myself, years before that, had just connected with the Iranian church. Many of you know this, that I actually grew up in a church in Bangladesh. I never knew the church in Iran. I never knew anything about it. And so when I went to Bangladesh and everything, I was in part of the Assemblies of God. So that's the style, very evangelistic and everything else. So lots of this, lots of preaching the gospel, lots of evangelism and everything else. So that happened. But I got to tell you that during my life, I didn't really connect with the Iranians very much, because then I came to Canada and I was just with an English-speaking church. I loved sharing the gospel with any Iranians and Muslim backgrounds, anyways, telling them my story and my journey. But I wasn't per se just attached to an Iranian church. So why I'm saying this, at some point I found a man that was a man of God, Iranian guy, Armenian background, Pastor Patrick Safarian, and he was also a PhD, an engineer working at that time for Boeing, later on went to FAA, one of the top guys in the system for the aeronautics, and he became a very good friend. And one day the Lord told me, I was in a conference, it says, he will be your father, and he will be like a father to you. And I was like, what? Don't call anybody fathers. So I just, out of obedience, I told him that. And he was, it's like, oh, like, Paul and Timothy. I said, yeah, that's what my understanding was. And we were both very uncomfortable, because that was the very first time such word was spoken in the Iranian realms. And they were just wondering, we were trying to grasp it. We were trying to understand what fathering a new believer or fathering another believer, not only new believer, but another believer, but positioning. And we didn't understand that. And so we went through these things, and there were other pastors, hello, Christian. There were other people that just start saying, look, you can't call him a father because the Bible says don't call anybody a father, so on and so forth. Anyways. And I said, I just heard that. I know I heard the Lord, and I'm going to continue. Years later, now I meet Pastor David and everything, and I knew his father, and I knew his brother Monas. Actually, we because of my Muslim background, connected with the Arabic church. So there was so anyways, I hope that the sound is there. Yes. I'm so nervous after last time when the voice wasn't recording. But anyway, so I knew these guys, and then the gatherings started, and the formation and the spirit of fatherhood that was released. People start saying, hello, yeah, Papa Gideon, Papa David, and everything, and everybody else. And I had already that background, but the understanding of fatherhood and what they are carrying and everything was not. Through the walk, I noticed Papa Gideon actually more than anything, because he would walk around the gatherings and he would just hug people. And now, anyone that knows, Papa Gideon is an amazing teacher of the Word of God. He has been a pastor, he has this, he has that. But I came from a background that you're a pastor, you're a leader, you go to a conference, you need to be getting, and the guy on top, the top-notch guy gets the most speaking engagement. But Papa Gideon wasn't speaking at all. He was just hugging people in the back of the room. And I was like, what is going on? And through that, I learned this spirit of fatherhood and everything. And at the same time, my own spiritual father was going through a personal hard time. And when he was going through his hard time, I just went to live with him, to cook for him, to just spend time with him and everything else. Blessings. And so I just was there, and I saw the brokenness, and I have walked with the Iranians and everything. And I realized one day my spiritual father said, you know, I didn't know when you said you are a son to me what it means. And I said to you have said to me, one day I had told him, even if all things fail or whatever, I don't want you to be my only spiritual father, but you are like your father to me. You are a father to me. I'll be a son, and I would love you no matter what during his hard times. You are my father. And he said, I don't understand it. But through that, he was like, you have become a son to me. And I realized that the Iranian church has never known that fatherhood. And during that journey did I realize, oh my goodness, more than any good sermons, more than any good meeting, more than anointing that was poured out in all of these meetings, what was being released through Papa Gideon and Papa David and all the papas from the nations that came, that there was a calling upon them. And God, the Father above, the good Father above, knew that the earth is longing for fathers. That there is good preachers. And I remember Paul saying there are many good pastors, teachers, and everything, but you lack fathers. And so there is a fatherhood that was being released, and that has never poured into the community of the Iranians. So yesterday, as I was speaking with Michael and one of the papas here in Singapore, and they had finished the gathering, and it was just crazy how we were united and everything. And he said, what happened with you, Afshin? You haven't been there and everything. And I said, look, and I'm doing this video to just explain maybe to the outside world what is happening. Because I said, look, Iran is the fastest converting Muslim nation in the world. But it is as if there are so many children are being born, but they don't have fathers. I mean, I have a father that brought me to this world, my physical father, but I don't know what having a father is like, because he worked, he provided a house, but to father something. And the pastors and leaders amongst the Iranian church are those hard workers that preach the gospel, want to give you manners, want to do this, want to do that, but they forget to be a father. And so this has lacked. And so these guys are leaders. And when we brought them to the gathering, I said to Michael, when we brought them, they couldn't connect. And the Chinese are so massive and everything, they just kind of swallow everything up. So they couldn't connect with these things. They didn't know what to do. They didn't understand what it is to sit together and sing the same verse of a song for 45 minutes, or sing, or just listen to music for 3 hours, or make a sound that has no words and cry or moan in the spirit. They didn't understand. They couldn't connect, and they just dispersed. And it was just so hard to grab them and bring them into the things. And of course, at the same time, I was going through all of my difficult things with my marriage and everything. So, and let's be very honest, the church speaks about grace and everything else. And we have grace for the sinners outside. We have grace for everybody that they to come in. But we don't have so much grace. We seem to have a lack of grace, or a lesser degree of grace for the people inside when they become Christian. And then the degree of grace keeps falling as you have risen in the height of your ministry or calling. So the higher you are, you have less grace, So anyways, as a Iranian Muslim convert who was pastor, who was traveling all over the world, you're going through divorce and you have problems. Oh my goodness. So then the papas, they loved me, but they knew that my name comes with a whole bunch of rumors and a whole bunch of accusations and a whole bunch of problems. So they wanted to distance, or keep it safe, political front distance. And so I just continued ministering to people that I was called to anyways. But the lack has always been there. And, the Chinese had this vision of back to Jerusalem and everything. And you cannot go back to Jerusalem the way, they have gone back to Jerusalem many times, but there was a flight that went over all the nations. And if you want to go through the Muslim nations, then you need the Muslim converts, the Muslim leaders. And if you want to go through it as just a trading, business transaction, then that's it. It's okay. You can do it right now. But if we want to bring that spirit that was released through the papas, that we create an environment, an atmosphere that releases the spirit of fatherhood amongst the pastors and leaders in all these Muslim nations, so that their mindset is changed from just being evangelists, creating little baby orphans. Just, my grandfather had 19 children, and so many Muslim men have so many children. And it seems like when we become Christian, we have that ability to make many children, but we have not had the ability to be fathers. So I'm making this video because I wanted to do that. And for me, when I couldn't gather the resources, and then I wasn't, and I think that because of the issues, there was a distance myself, so I can't bring somebody and connect it to someone else when I am. There is a bridge. And yesterday, it's funny because Michael said, hey, let's go here, showed us Singapore and everything. And then we walked over a bridge. And then this morning, and I was like, oh, wow, that's such a prophetic word. There is that bridge, that gap that existed between between me and the fathers, the Asian fathers. It seems to have been bridged and everything. But that's for me, really, and this is a prophetic act. So till it takes place, God knows how long it will take. But at the same time, the Michael was asking, Afshin, tell us, what have you been doing? I didn't stop. I have been ministering. I've been preaching the gospel to the Muslims. I've been going around the world. I have done these things in many, many countries and everything else. But, I am too old to want to convince somebody that I love the Lord. And I've been in the ministry for too long to want to gain your approval. And so I said, look, rather than me spending the time to prove to somebody, maybe I want to walk with those who trust me. who accept me for who I am and walk with me and see me for who I am, and then talk to God, not Google kind of thing. So this has been my journey, and I've been just walking on that journey, and it has been a beautiful journey. And I have seen, I didn't position myself anymore as a pastor, even though every one of the people that I serve knows me to be a pastor. Thank you, you guys that are supporting us, you know. And I gotta say this, you know, um, recently I've seen some of the videos and everything, and you've seen a picture of my brother-in-law, Saeed. And so, yeah, I walk with people, and people today, they call me uncle or father, really, Baba Afshin. And uh, hey, that just, and I owe that to that walk with the brothers in the Chinese and the Egyptian father, Papa David, and everything. And it's just been a wonderful thing. And of course, it's amazing when the brethren dwell in unity. It's amazing when we walk together. It's amazing when we see the glory or fullness of the glory come down. But here we are today, and I want to say this. I do something that I have done with Saeed, and Saeed, who's my brother-in-law, has worked so hard in Germany, has been in the church. The sister was serving, and who's my wife. The sister was a pastor for the youth and everything, and has been pastoring for years and everything else. All of these things. And Said loves God and has had some kind of a direct contact, but he didn't know whose name it is. And he was like, "Look, I want to be a nice person. I want to just give whenever I can, and help others and everything else." But I just said to him, "Hey, I said, have you ever seen Asia?" He said, "No." I said, "Come with me." And he came with me, and he has been traveling with me. And as we have been traveling, and the Lord began to speak to him, and the Lord grabbed hold of his heart, and he began to see what it is to be able to minister to refugees. And then one day I'm there, and then another day the Lord opens, and you are sitting with the people in high places that are that have the ability to shift the nation in the governments and everything, and the rules and regulations. And I'm sitting, this guy, that is grade 9 education, and is able to share the gospel, is able to give the words of a mighty God. And he began to see these things, and he began to journey on that. And he, just a couple of nights ago, he said, "Look, I have always had these connections." And he came into the room, and I was just like, "Oh, wow, he has made the decision," because I'm not a person that pushes. I create an environment that don't want to get in between people and their testimony. I want to see their testimony. Then he came, and in the spirit I heard, oh, he made the commitment. And then he said, "Yes, I have made my commitment to Jesus." And yesterday I saw him praying for others and speaking life. And that was, and when we came to here, Michael was just like, bam, bam, bam. And Michael said, "Let me share my testimony. I was 40 years old. This happened. I was a party guy. This. And this is exactly the next step, because I had told Said that he's becoming 40, and something amazing is going to shift. And we meet. I didn't know Michael's testimony. It was just like exactly what Said needed. And Said said, "You know what? This is you came here like a dove messenger." And Said, right now, I'm telling you, he has no idea dove represents Holy Spirit. It came, and you brought me a message to speak to me. And then he had asked certain things, and then another word just came this morning from Indonesia for somebody that saw Said one day, and the Lord spoke to him, and it was exactly everything he needs. And I love the Lord. So when people ask, "What have you been doing?" I've been walking with people in discipleship. We have been building the house of Cyrus, and a place that we create an environment, because Cyrus in Isaiah 45, he's commanded in Ezra chapter 1, is commanded to align the people of God with a destiny to go back to place, a location they are called to, and to build a house of prayer. So we take that prophetically, and we take people like Saeed and Shayan and Eric and everybody else in our group, we take them in and we say, you are the people of God, and we're going to align you back to journey to a place, a holy land, a promised land that God has for you. And we're going to align you to become a house of prayer and to worship God of Almighty, and so on and so forth. And that journey is beautiful to do. And so you're watching the YouTube, you see, I'm going to try to get back and do another video on updates. They have sent me some pictures. It's amazing. They're just ripping everything out. And God is starting to provide, things are trickling in, with everything that is happening with all the PayPal and everything. Sorry, anyways, I'm too excited. I want to just say, we are seeing God move in a different way than ever before. God is just opening doors, and he wants you and I to walk with him. He has released the spirit of fatherhood because he doesn't want just converts. He wants those children to know the arms of a father and a mother. He wants to know those that will not see them as numbers on their belts, how many we got saved, but somebody that cared for them. And the difference is much, because those whom I served with for many decades after my failures had absolutely not one single moment of thought to put me aside and never talk to me, even though they had served with me for many years. But a father doesn't know how to do that. No matter how big your failure, they will walk with you because they are focused, their heart is anchored in the love they have for you. And that love is being poured out daily to see you back restored to your original position and even higher places. So I want to share this to help everybody to understand the Persians, the Iranian church, the Muslim backgrounds in Pakistan, everyone that I talk to, the Muslim backgrounds in India and all these nations on the way, the Iraqis and everything, the Syrians, the Kurdish, the Turks, all the way to these guys. We have seen revival, but they are not seeing the spirit of fatherhood released out of the ministers. We see the spirit of evangelism, but it is time to pray that the fatherhood would be released, that these guys would have brotherhood, because they can't walk together. And Michael was saying, when he was working for an Iranian here, there was a father that had a great vision, and he sent his children in 1989 to Singapore, became very successful, had restaurants, and he helped the restaurants to become like chain, but the brothers could not work together. And I said, Michael, you touched the problem, because all the Iranian leaders, that I know, and Yak Nazars are a great example, the Hosepians and all these brothers that have been from the same father, same mother, but they could not work in one unit, like the Rothschild, like they all had their own ministry, separate. And he said, yeah, that's happened. I was telling them, boy, don't you work together? They were fighting. And that is the truth. Our Father in heaven has great vision for all the Iranian leaders, all the Muslim background, for the Ishmaelites, but they cannot walk together in unity. And that is what I want to ask you guys to pray, that the brothers would walk together. They would say what Papa David said, I'd rather be with you than without you, even though you have failed. I'd rather be with you. We don't know that. And that would be an amazing thing to see amongst these brothers, because they will go to the next step. And I don't say these things. When Michael said, hey, release, I said, okay, I'll release it. Because I'm kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. The Iranians say, why do you shame us? Why do you tell people about our weaknesses? And I don't want to shame, but I want a safe place. And I know sometimes church is not the safest place to show your brokenness, but God is. And those who carry his heart, they are. So I'm sharing this with you guys, and praying that you would just find a place to know how to pray and fast and do these things. We have to check out in about 15 minutes. And yeah, thank you, every one of you that is writing, watching, connecting with us. I am so honored that you guys have become part of this family. And I am so encouraged because, you know, daily the members of the YouTube channel is growing. Somehow, I don't know how, but I don't think it's something I'm doing, but the Lord is doing, and God is using you guys. You're telling others, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank everyone that is like today, someone else donated more money. All of you who are becoming members of this community, I appreciate you. Since last time I spoke, we have had somebody else this morning paid $50 on PayPal, so another one $25. So the trickles, but it is full of heart, full of blessings. And I want to speak and say thank you, all of you that stand with us and believe in us. We want to return and say, God bless you and enrich your life and pour into your cup for you and your next generation in an abundant way, pressed down, shaken together, and overflowing. I love you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Till next time.